But I can go quick fire through some of the key horses, can't I? And you can just give me your thoughts on where they stand at the moment in these races. We've done Constitution Hill, really.
Yep.
You're very happy. Away day Tuesday, on we go. Breathing sounds good.
Yes.
Limbs are good.
Yes.
Touch wood, all good. Jonbon we haven't discussed. Any reason to believe that Jonbon is going to be less effective at Cheltenham on the Wednesday of the festival than he has been at other venues this year?
He's been effective at Cheltenham this year.
He has, that's what I mean. But I mean, is there any reason to say he can be less effective than, say, he was at Ascot, which I thought was about a career best, or at Sandown, which was absolutely...
Very confident, very happy with where he is.
If they go a million, are you happy to take a lead if you've got Solness and maybe Le Français in front of you?
He's very versatile. I think that will only help us.
OK. And ground?
Happy whatever.
Even if it's a torrential storm on the day?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You're super confident?
Yeah.
OK. That's good to know. Lulamba. Sort of feel did he give you at Ascot?
Gave me a really good feel. I was very, very happy with him. He went through the race very smoothly, knew his job, obviously improved for his run at Auteuil. So, again, he's in great shape as well.
What conditions do you think will suit him best?
I think it's like most of our horses. Good to soft would be great.
OK. What is the future for Palladium as a hurdler, do you think?
Well, let's see what he does in the Triumph. I mean, that'll be interesting.
Do you think he'll definitely run there?
Yeah.
Do you think they'll... And because Lulamba's out of the Supreme Novices now, so they're definitely both running that race.
They're both running there, yeah.
OK. And there's no doubt in your mind you'll be riding Lulamba?
I haven't said that.
OK. What would...
Typical journalist.
What would tip you the... What would tip you the other way?
I don't know. We've still got things to do, so, yeah, it's plenty of time.
So hang on. So there is actually a possibility in your mind that you could still ride Palladium in the Triumph Hurdle over Lulamba?
We haven't had this discussion yet, so...
No, but we're having it now.
Yeah, I know. You've put me in the hot seat. It's feeling very hot. Yeah.
I'm pleased about that. It's the first time I've got... I think it might be the first time I've got you off the bridle all morning. Genuinely, there's a scintilla of doubt in your mind about which one you're going to ride? Or are you just being politic?
Yeah, I'm being a politician, not answering the question.
Would it be your decision? Or would Nicky say you're on this one?
Oh, I don't know.
OK.
OK. You don't want to upset Lady of Bamford?
I don't want to upset anyone.
OK. All right. But your mind is still open that you might still ride the 16
let's see what happens.
Over the 5-2 shots. OK. All right. If you ride them a bit of work, who works better?
Oh, I don't think they ever work together.
No. But you've ridden them both at home.
Oh, right.
All right. Which one works better?
It's hard to tell, really. Depends on the ground and things like that.
Well, hang on. The ground doesn't change up the poly track, does it?
No, on the grass.
Yeah, OK. If it's nice, just nice 7 Barrows ground.
I'm being absolutely grilled here, and I'm not enjoying it.
You're grilling yourself. You're grilling yourself. I could have given you 50.
I'm going to walk off set, and you just keep throwing me.
Tomo was the last person to do that. But
Did
he needed a wee at the time. So
all right.
We gave him a... Shall I move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right, Lucky Place.
Yeah,
Nicky's starting to sound confident about him.
Yeah, I love Lucky Place.
You love him?
Yeah.
OK, what do you love about him?
He's just an absolute terrier. Answers everything you ask of him. Jumps well. He was all set to go novice chasing, but we went down this route, and he's answered our every call.
How much more could you squeeze out of him with a step up in trip? Quite a bit, by the sounds of it.
Well, I think so. I mean, and that was the question as soon as I got off him. Will he stay 3 miles? And I was pretty confident when I got off, yes, he will.
OK.
That's why we didn't run again.
And what about the Django Jinkos?
Django will go for the Arkle.
Yeah. Is he quick enough?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Is he good enough for the Margeborough of this world?
He's a good horse. He can jump at speed, and he's very brave and courageous. So, yeah, I mean, in the silly hours, because their ground was so tough, I kept having just to bring him back. But we can let him rip now.
Would you want that one again, the Silly Isles? Do you reckon you'd have won 9 out of 10 of those?
No, because I thought I was cooked before the pond fence.
Did you? Mm. So was it just... How do you think he got as far as he did? Was that just on class, basically?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And then, in actual fact, the ground between the second last and last suddenly sort of deteriorated, and it was really bad up the run-in, so I thought he was very courageous to get up there. OK. And Jinko Blue, that was a bit of a disaster at Ascot, I suppose, but could he still be a player in a could be,
nice race?
Yeah, could be. yeah, we just got to get him back on track, and yeah.
Okay. Best handicapper?
Haven't really thought about the handicaps yet.
Okay. Jericho de Repenet's being bandied around as a likely one. Yeah. Yeah. Has he still got a bit of lead left in his pencil?
Possibly, and Shanna Bob's in there as well, so.
And he's just reminded me that he's on grade 1 tally 49. That's quite something, isn't it? Quite a few years upon which to reflect. Even you allowed yourself a little smile there watching some of that.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. I've some very good memories back in the day, yeah.
Some very special memories. Petit Robin, horses like that, he must have been amongst your first good ones, was he?
Yeah, no, he's very good. I think we won the listed handicap on the same day that Sprinter won the Tingle Creek, so that was a special day all round.
OK, so there isn't a grade 1 between now and Cheltenham, and the obvious assertion is that Constitution Hill is going to give you your 50th grade 1 winner in the Champion Hurdle. And interesting news yesterday about the plan for him going to Kempton. What prompted that?
I think it was just how his work's evolved, and I don't think it's going to necessarily be a piece of work. It's more an away day, I'd say, rather than anything blistering. Yeah,
Nicky Henstad, I almost thought he was making it out as though it was your idea to go to Kempton.
I think it was a mutual agreement.
A mutual agreement. So what's the benefit of that then? If he's not really going to have the pipes open, what's the benefit of taking him away?
I think it's just getting him onto a racecourse, getting the blood up a bit, getting the adrenaline going. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But last year it showed us what not to do, and every single racehorse gallop that he has had, although to the eye it might not have looked spectacular, it has showed us something, and we've learned a lot from it. Yeah,
I mean, I was talking, Michael Buckley was making a similar point to me on my podcast this week when he was saying that everyone says these have been a disaster. In fact, they've been far from a disaster, because if we hadn't done them, we might have ended up going to a racecourse and doing some real damage.
Doing some real damage. And after the Kempton Gallop last year, it could have been seriously problematic.
Were you pretty clear as soon as that had happened that you had a major problem on your hands?
I think as soon as I turned in and I went to push the button and the button was broken, it was just a case of stopping him, getting the vets in and seeing what was going on.
I mean, I know you're used to disappointments, but what were you feeling at that point?
That was pretty gut-wrenching. And on that day as well, you had all the press around you, cameras everywhere. So yeah, you just want to get out of there.
And I say you're used to disappointments and appear to take them in quite a kind of calm and cool way. Is that just the kind of carapace, or is that really you?
Well, that's the job, isn't it? You have to get used to losing, and the more you lose, the more you appreciate the good days.
When you reflect on what you've achieved to this point, I know you're someone who's always had a great desire, a great drive, but can you reflect with satisfaction yet?
I guess I'm still very much in it.
Yeah.
Constantly looking forward rather than back. But no, I've achieved more than I ever thought I would as a kid. So I've ridden some wonderful horses, and yeah, I definitely appreciate them.
Can you take me all the way back to the first moment you thought, I want to ride racehorses?
Well, that was from when I was very, very young.
I mean, like toddler young?
Not toddler young, but, you know, I loved Frankie Dettori and Godolphin, and, you know, I was obsessed with flat racing when I was a youngster. And I'd be on my ponies pretending I was Frankie, and, you know, all the way back then from Swain and Dale Army and things like that.
And that's what hooked you in. I mean, I know you were from a family that rode, and you know, you're related to people who've competed at a high level in lots of different equestrian disciplines. But for you, it was always going fast.
Yeah, it was always that. And I did a lot of the slow stuff as well. And they got to a point where you tell a young boy to keep staying slow, and if you're brave and want to get on with it, then yeah, you get bored of that soon enough.
And when was the first time you sort of experienced the thrill, the adrenaline
of riding a racehorse?
Yeah. Can you remember feeling it and thinking, this is what I want to keep feeling?
I suppose I started riding out when I was 14, and from that point on, away I went.
Did you think you were any good?
I knew I could ride. I'd been taught very well as a youngster, but to ride sort of classically rather than ride as a jockey. And the jockey thing I definitely had to learn, and it took me a while for all that to click.
So who was the person who sort of set you on your way in terms of actually getting the mechanics of being a jockey going?
Well, that was me just working it out, failing a lot, riding a lot of horses. I had Dave Roberts as my agent, and I did a lot of point-to-pointing, and it's just a case of trial and error and, failure, and riding lots of horses at 9-7, bottom weight, out the back, and just trying to figure it all out.
And you didn't mind that?
I think when you're young and you want to get somewhere, you will be prepared to do anything. And
you were prepared to go anywhere, ride almost anything?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be obsessed in this game, and that was that, and that was all that I live for.
But obsessed to the exclusion of all else? Or could you still have quite a nice life at the same time?
Oh, no, it's exclusive. It's incredibly self-centered, and I get accused a lot of being selfish and self-centered, but I think you have to be in the job, and particularly to climb that really slippery ladder.
When you say slippery ladder, do you mean you need to have that aptitude to be a sort of politician as well as a good rider?
You have to have it all, really. You have to be able to talk.
You're good at that.
You get better as you go on, and you relax a bit, and with a bit of self-awareness, you can look inwards and try and be better at that and deal with people better. And but yeah.
Do you think you are selfish, though?
I think it's part of the job. I think every jockey is selfish, or every trainer is selfish. I think they have to be in order to get up every day and deal with the stuff that comes at them.
Just to propel you, to keep you
going forward. To keep going forward, and well, a bit like you've turned up from Saudi Arabia this morning, so yeah.
I know. I've no idea why.
You're knackered, yeah.
I'm fresh as paint.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fresh as paint. As you will be when you have your whatever ride at Hereford today. How many rides have you got at Hereford?
Just the one.
Just the one.
Yeah.
And so again, go to Hereford on a Sunday. It's a relentless grind, even if you're riding at the top level.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but you've got to enjoy it, and you've got to enjoy the people you're riding for. The horse today is owned by Jean Sillett and the wife of John Sillett, and they've been fantastic owners for us in the past, and I love riding for her.
Well, there you are, you see. So that actually is not selfish. That's something you want to do because you think it's the right thing to do, because otherwise you'd say, well, hang on a minute, I'm not going to Hereford for one ride.
Yeah, but, it's all part and parcel of it. And also that horse today, this has been his plan for a while. So, these horses don't just turn up. It's all planning, and everything's geared up for today for this horse.
Because, of course, Nicky Henderson will always say you're a great team player, and that's why the career's gone the way it's gone.
Yeah, I think where I am in my career, I've had to be. That's the way I've been moulded, and that's what I enjoy.
Okay. When you first went into Seven Barrows, how did you feel? How did you feel about your place in the world and about your role within the yard?
Young, naive. I started at the bottom.
So you're how old at this point, like 20-odd?
20.
Yeah.
Just turned 20.
Yeah.
2009. Myself and David Bass started the same week.
Did you know each other before?
I think we rode against each other at Salisbury once, but no, not really.
Yeah.
But no, it was a great team of youngsters there, and it was a really sort of vibrant yard, and it was just when the yard had a load of young novice hurdlers who were really beginning to peak and sort of hit the stratosphere.
So just a great place to be.
Great place to be. Barry Geraghty had just come in. And if you couldn't watch and learn from all these great people, with AP McCoy coming in, Andrew Tinkler, there were so many great jockeys and great personalities in that place that you couldn't not learn.
So did you have it quite clearly in your mind then? You're just going to, be quite quiet, stay low, move fast, listen, and get on with it?
Exactly. Try and do the best I could every day. And I gave myself a sort of ultimatum until, if I hadn't done anything by 25, then I'd go and do something sensible.
Did you know what you were going to do that was sensible?
I didn't have a clue, but 25 was my cut-off point. Okay. And then I won the Gold Cup.
And that was the year you won the Gold Cup at 25?
Yeah.
And I can't recall how much against the run of play that was. How well were you doing at Seven Barrows when you got Coney-Gree?
I was doing okay. I was just fresh out my £5 claim. Mm-hmm. I've been riding for the Bradstocks quite a bit with Carruthers, and the Bradstocks were really sort of pushing me as well. So to entrust me with Coney-Gree as a £3 claimer was quite something.
Yeah, and you got a wonderful tune out of him. And Mark and Sarah Bradstock, if you sort of say they do things their own way, it can sound patronising, but I don't mean to. They just had a very kind of clear sense of purpose. Did that suit you?
Yeah, very much. And they're independent thinkers. We all miss Mark, but he and Sarah together, they were a fantastic team. And they knew their own minds, and luckily they had owners who agreed with them and loved them for that.
So when they send you out on this novice to go and win the Gold Cup, you go out there absolutely shackle-free.
Of course, and when you're a conditional, that's what you want. You want to be able to go and think anything is possible rather than fear of maybe not doing a good job. And I remember I was actually banned for the Denman Chase when Coney-Gree won that, and he was ridden by Dickie Johnson. And Sarah called me up 5 minutes after the race. I was watching it at home on the sofa, and she says, "Right, we'll go and win the Gold Cup now."
And did you?
And that was literally 5 minutes after the race. And to have that trust and that, you felt part of their family.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it was a lovely gesture.
Because was there a bit of you thinking,
oh God, yeah. Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and understandably so as well, particularly in the world now, which is that much more cutthroat. Then did things start to roll? Do you think then that Nicky Henderson's looking at you in a different way after that?
Well, it certainly helps. I don't think he's looking at me in a different way, but it definitely helps selling me to his
owners,
battalion of owners, yeah. So that helps. And then Barry Geraghty got the job with JP McManus. Mm-hmm. And then it began to snowball. It wasn't an easy transition because you definitely have to grow into that role. But you soon pick it up.
OK. How do you two kind of mesh together? How does it work? How do you work together as characters?
Well, he's the governor, he's the boss, and I am allowed to have my input here and there. Yeah. It's a big team, it's collaborative.
But you obviously have something, because trainer and jockey relationships don't last otherwise.
No.
They fizzle out.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to ride well, you've got to make few mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to be able to get on, even if you're not out down the pub having a pint together.
Yeah, of course. But you try and I've always tried to read him as to, where he's at with, each horse and how he comes in and does the board every morning, and his attention to detail is there, and you just try and row in and be helpful.
You mentioned his attention to detail. Some trainers, you ask them about other horses that they don't train, and they'll say, well, I'm not interested in that. I don't train that. I'm only interested in mine. I was speaking to him about something last week, and he said, yeah, the second's won, the fourth's been second, the fifth's won, the seventh's won, the eighth as well. There's not a lot missed.
No, not at all. And I can sometimes come in and say, oh, did you see that one, that one? He goes, oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing goes unnoticed.
No.
In terms of this group of horses now, upon whom there is so much scrutiny, particularly Constitution Hill, how are you finding that sort of intense spotlight? How have you found that, particularly since he's become everybody's horse, if you like?
Well, I'm lucky that I've had it before, with the likes of Sprinter, Altior, and you name it. We've had some fantastic horses. So
this is a bit different, though, isn't it?
It is a bit, but I'd say I'm fairly used to it, and I'm comfortable in that position. But it is interesting how the media and the racing public, I suppose, they pick up on the smallest little detail, and sometimes you just go, ah. But yeah, people don't know the full story what's going on behind the scenes, whereas we're confident that we can get him where we need to be going.
You've been riding him, obviously, quite a bit at home this season, as well as on the racecourse. How often would you ride him at home?
For all his key bits of work leading up to something, then I'll be on him.
Okay. And how do you feel he is now, say, relative to 2 years ago, when there was no doubt where he was?
Yeah, I think he's in good order. He's come through each test we've given him this season in really well, and I think he keeps pushing forward, and we're very happy where we are, and then hopefully Tuesday we'll just bring him on again, and then we should be there.
Okay. What sort of, did he give you a better feel at Cheltenham than he had done at Kempton, even though you're basically beating complete inferiors at Cheltenham?
Well, at Cheltenham we were on a bit of a hiding to nowhere, because there was no one to take us anywhere. And Johnny Burke sort of took us so far, and then he parked the bus and literally put the handbrake up, and he's just gone. So, and then it was like a hack round, and I promise you he wouldn't have blown a candle out.
Oh, well, that was quite evident.
Yeah.
Were you giving yourself a hard time about the final hurdle?
You always want perfection, don't you?
Yeah, but I mean, did you think, oh God, that was my fault, I just messed that up?
Yeah, I immediately was like, oh God, why did I do that? Oh, yeah.
But aren't you used to him kind of just delivering?
Yeah, I guess when you're hacking along, you know, the last hurdle is no different to the first hurdle. And if I got the first hurdle wrong, I would have been annoyed as well.
Okay. But still, he's produced a completely dominant performance.
Of course, and you have to be grateful for that. And
so what have you done wrong here?
That was the last hurdle, was it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. Should we have a look at it again?
Yeah. Let's analyse.
No, I'm not in a position to analyse it, but you are.
Paralysis by analysis. You can overthink it, honestly.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, you tell me, because I don't know exactly what you're supposed you should have done and didn't do.
Well, I just didn't. What I didn't have there was going into that hurdle. He wasn't alive enough under me. I didn't have the revs up high enough for him to come up off that stride. So I should have just sat and just gone in and pop.
Okay.
But if he was alive, he would have come off that stride.
But he seemed to be so...
So you're annoying me now, just even looking at it.
Am I actually getting you off the bridle here?
Anyway.
I've got you more off the bridle than you got him, that's for sure.
I've bitten, yeah.
How much do you go back and watch your races, your losses, your agonising defeats, things you should have done better? Are you a big self-critic, or can you just push on, move on to the next?
I do push on.
You're not sort of Dunwoody McCoy-esque?
No. Don't put me in that bracket.
You did start by saying you were obsessed, and I'm sort of trying to...
Well, not like that. They were outliers, the pair of them, weren't they?
Okay.
I got 3 kids at home. I can't go home and watch replays.
Well, no, you wouldn't be allowed to.
No, I'd be in serious trouble.
There aren't enough tellies in the house or screens in the house for you to be able to...
I get home, it's bath time, bedtime, yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like an obvious question, but I'll ask it anyway. How has that changed? How has that made your outlook on riding, racing different, if at all?
You have to park it at the front door. So if I'm going to watch any replays or anything, it has to be done before I get home. I try not to bring racing home with me because my children don't deserve that.
Okay, and how they're all pretty young, aren't they?
I've got 5, 3, and 9 months.
Okay, that's.
We're in the trenches.
Yeah, you were. Well, I'd like to say that you'll be out of the trenches soon, but the trenches just get deeper.
Yeah.
But in a very enjoyable way, obviously.
Of course,
it's
brilliant. It's the best thing I've ever had in my life.
Okay, and your wife, Serena, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah. So, how does she need to be for you to be compatible, given the danger of your job, and we've seen that exhibited only too starkly in the last couple of weeks, and the psychological demands it places on you?
Supportive. It's a two-way street.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So you have to park at the front door a little.
Yeah, and I have to know that when I'm going to the racecourse that everything is good at home, and then I'm content.
Because you don't want to be turning up and being worried about
Exactly, and that's why they don't come and watch me at the racecourse, you know, on a big day or anything.
Okay. Ever?
Ever, really, yeah.
Do you think that's likely to change at any point?
I'm possibly. I mean, if we're over in Punchestown, then they might come and watch me there, but usually they tend to stay at home.
But that's interesting, isn't it? Because you do see some jockeys who have their families with them at the races. But for your head to be clear,
exactly,
it's that clear delineation, that clear separation between home and work.
Exactly.
And that keeps you straight.
Yeah.
Are you as clinical in your thinking as people suggest you are? Is clarity of thought something that you think has been a big advantage to you?
I think so. A lot of processing and keeping it simple. But don't forget, I don't have 10 different trainers or 10 different yards to worry about. You know, I'm solely focused on this one yard, and that can have my whole undivided attention.
And to what extent does being goal-orientated help? You talk about being in it till I'm 25, and if I don't succeed by I'm 25, I'm done, I'm doing something else. Are you always target-orientated?
I think it's good to have goals, but not want them too much, you know, because if you start wanting things too much, I think, again, that plays with your head, and it stops, you know, from having any sort of flexibility. And it's like when you go out into a race, you can't just have one plan, because and yesterday, for example, in the big handicap, I had one plan, and by going to the first fence, that plan had completely blown apart, and you have to think about something else.
And it strikes me that you probably don't, but is there anything you regret?
Oh, lots of regrets, I'd say.
Really?
Yeah. Of course, there are lots of regrets. You know, interactions with people, you think you could have behaved better. You probably weren't the best person you could be in that moment, and yeah, I think there's plenty there.
But they're more personal than professional.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Do you feel content now?
I'm happy in my skin. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm in a very happy place right now, and yeah, looking forward to the future.
And clearly, all anyone wants to do this time of year is talk about Cheltenham. So I've probably had 80% of people throwing things at the TV saying, "But I want to know what's going to win the Putems final," or whatever. We have plenty of time for that, for sure. But just before we take a break, I do want to just ask how Sir Geno's doing, because clearly a lot of people are anxious about his well-being, and it's been a bit kind of static for the last week or so.
Yeah, I think that's probably where we are, in that he's still, you know, having the best care with the vets, and they're just making sure that he comes out the other side of the storm. And the storm is dying down.
That's good.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, I could be careful how I say this. I realise we're talking about horses here, and incidents and accidents happen, and it is all part and parcel of the sport that we're in. But still, when your hopes are pinned so hard on, you know, this horse being another great champion, it's another sort of morale blow for everybody associated with it.
Of course, and we're very lucky to have Joe and Mari Donnelly, who own him, and they're incredibly understanding of the whole situation. But, you know, when you go and see Rubo win the Grade 2 yesterday, and you're thinking what Sir Geno did to him in Kempton, you know,
not to mention Ballyburn at the festival,
so yeah, no, it's hard to take, but that is horses.
And if he recovers, and I know it's an if, I mean, has he given you the feel so far of being, you know, maybe the best of the whole lot?
I don't know. He's right up there. And don't forget, I've only ridden him over fences once, and that's all we've seen. So
it's a slightly daft question. Someone who's ridden Constitution Hill and Sprinter Sacre, the two of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, he is good. Yeah,
but it's not good. Yeah, it's not outlandish though, is it?
It's not outlandish, no.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.